Here's a popular topic. How do you feel about taxi drivers? We don't feel good? What is it about the situation that makes you uncomfortable? When they're making conversation, yeah, quite often what they're talking about. They're staring at the rearview mirror. It's a stranger, you're alone. Yeah, this is the one topic I get the most reaction. This is really not fair, but a lot of women do feel this way. I'm at a high school up in Aurelia, and this one girl, she's like, I hate all taxi drivers. They're all ugly, freaky, smelly weirdos. This other girl goes, my father's a taxi driver. But you're in a car with a complete stranger. They have control over the car. They may know where you live. They can basically take you wherever they want. There's not going to be a lot you can do about it. I've had hundreds of women tell me the driver said a lot of things that are downright disgusting, or they're asking you personal questions, or you get that stare in the rearview mirror, like, and we're all freaked out. Or when the picture of the driver doesn't match the person driving, like, that's a woman, you're a man. That might be unnerving. So I would not take a taxi by myself. I remember a 12-year-old girl in a taxi by herself. Driver's about 50 years of age. And he's like, you're a cute little thing. How old are you? It's like, 12. He goes, oh, that's not too young for me. They kept talking to her like this. Another woman I know personally, 35 years of age. She's in the back of a taxi, 4 in the morning. Now, this really isn't funny, but I know her, so I laugh. 4 in the morning, driver says to her, why don't you come sit up front here with me and we'll play mommy and daddy? Now, over the years, I've had a lot of students go, oh, how do you play mommy and daddy? I'm at a school just for a joke, like, I'm not sure, buy the board game. This one girl, she said, could buy a board game, so I'm like, oh yeah, go to Toys R Us, ask for the mommy daddy board game, yeah. And I could tell by the look on her face, she's thinking about going to Toys R Us after school, imagine that. Yes, hello, I'm looking for the mommy daddy board game. Perhaps you have the limited edition. I do get a lot of students go, I don't get this game. I'm usually like, okay, put it this way, mommy, daddy, make baby. This one girl's like, oh, I get it now, that's a bad game, huh? It was a grade 9 class. Okay. Or about 14 years ago in Toronto, a grade 11 student told me she went to a party with a group of her friends, and they got really drunk. At about 1 or 2 in the morning, she wanted to go home, but none of her friends went with her. So she took a taxi by herself, 1 in the morning, really drunk. She was actually, I was so drunk, I don't remember if I sat in the front seat or the guy put me there, but she was attacked and raped. Now, if she'd been in the back seat, probably would have happened anyways, late at night, by herself, really drunk. But what does sitting in the front seat also do for the driver? Easy access. I've had hundreds of women tell me they've sat in the front seat, the driver has reached over and tried something. They don't need you to sit in the front seat. And if they ask you to, don't get in. Now, I've had a lot of women go, okay, but there was 4 of us. One of us had to get in the front seat. Okay, but I've also had a lot of women tell me that the driver picked which one of the 4 he wanted to sit in the front seat. I'm at a school in Mississauga. This one girl's like, oh, imagine if you weren't the top pick either. Actually, it was from your school, I remember. Yeah, a couple of years ago, right? Yeah. You want to be the top pick? Like, oh, pick me! Yes, I won! I'm beautiful! Then you're like, look what I won! Look what I won! Oh, my God! I want a better prod. Like that? If you get bored, I'll just start doing that. Or here's a typical situation some of you will find yourself in. Several years ago, my sister Karen was living in Toronto, single at the time, living in a basement apartment where she lived by herself. And one day she's going on a trip to South America. So the airport taxi comes to her home, puts her luggage in the car, they start driving. Now, if you had a half-hour ride to the airport and the driver seemed completely normal and they talked to you, wouldn't you talk to them? So they're driving, talking, everything's fine. After a little while he goes, oh, where are you going for your trip? She goes, South America. Wouldn't you answer that? Yeah. They drive further, he goes, oh, how long are you going there for? She goes, 2 weeks. Wouldn't most of you probably answer that? Because remember at the beginning when I said, how many of you have ever told somebody something, and right after you said it, you thought, oh, why did I just tell them that? Aren't you more likely to do that with someone who's being friendly? That's how people get information out of you, by being friendly. So they drive further, and he goes, oh, is your husband not going? She's not mentioned a boyfriend or a husband. She's single, lives on her own, so she doesn't like that question. What should she say? What's that? That's what most people say. You meet him at the airport, but if this was you, where did he pick you up? At your house, right? So he knows where you live. You're gone for 2 weeks, and your husband's gone with you. The house might be empty. I've had several people have their homes broken into by the taxi driver. So my sister lied. She made up that she had a husband. She goes, oh no, my husband's staying home. They might go with the big dogs, electrical fence, poisonous snakes, killer Fish? Don't put your hand in the aquarium. Ah. Now, admit if he thinks nobody's meeting you at the airport, that could be bad as well. So maybe like, oh no, my husband's staying home, I'm going with my boyfriend.